South Central Los Angeles, a breeding ground for hustlers, dreamers, and fighters. The streets were alive with energy, a constant hum of ambition and survival. Bruce Richardson was all three. He embodied the spirit of the streets, a living testament to its harsh lessons and fleeting victories. Born with fists like sledgehammers and a mind sharper than a switchblade, he learned to survive. Every punch he threw was a statement, every move a calculated risk. The streets were his classroom. Here he learned the unspoken rules of respect and power. Respect was the only currency that mattered. It was earned through grit, determination, and an unyielding will. Bruce's reputation grew with every street fight. Each victory added to his legend, each opponent a stepping stone. He was a force of nature, unstoppable, unbreakable, a whirlwind of raw power and precision. He moved with an eerie calm, even in the eye of the storm. Chaos swirled around him, but he remained a pillar of strength. His opponents, often larger, always underestimated him. They saw his size, but not his heart, his determination. They learned the hard way. Bruce always hit first. He hit hard. His punches were like thunder, leaving a lasting impact. He rarely had to hit twice. One punch was usually enough to end the fight. Word spread. People came from all over to witness the spectacle. They called him Bruiser. His name echoed through the streets, a symbol of raw power, a fitting name for a man who seemed invincible. He stood tall, a beacon of strength in a world of uncertainty. But every fighter has his demons. Beneath the tough exterior, Bruce battled his own inner struggles. Bruce's were just beginning to surface. The shadows of his past loomed large, threatening to consume him. The streets that made him were about to test him in ways he could never imagine. The real fight was just beginning, and this time it was for his soul. Survival in South Central wasn't about bravery alone, it was about opportunity, about seizing the moment when it presented itself. The streets were unforgiving, a concrete jungle where only the sharpest and most determined could carve out a path. Bruce saw the drug trade as a way out, a way to escape the concrete jungle. It wasn't just about making money, it was about finding a way to rise above the circumstances he was born into, to break free from the chains of poverty and despair. He started small, a runner, a lookout, the lowest rung on the ladder, but it was a start. He watched, he learned, he absorbed the lessons of the street like a sponge. He learned the game, its rules, its ruthlessness. Money brought power, power brought respect, but respect in the streets was a double-edged sword, a dangerous commodity that could turn friends into foes in an instant. But it also brought danger. Bruce walked a tightrope, balancing the allure of quick money against the ever-present threat of violence. Every step he took was fraught with peril. He made enemies, rivals who envied his rise, his charisma. The higher he climbed, the more precarious his position became. The streets were a battlefield, and Bruce was a soldier in a war with no end. He lived life on a razor's edge, the thrill of the game a potent drug itself. The adrenaline, the danger, the constant high of outsmarting the competition, it was intoxicating. Yet, beneath the hardened exterior, a flicker of something else remained. A dream. A vision of a life beyond the streets. A life where he could be more than just a hustler. A yearning for something more. Bruce wanted out. He dreamed of a future where he could leave the violence and chaos behind, where he could find peace and purpose. He'd seen the streets chew up and spit out too many of his friends. Each loss was a stark reminder of the fragility of life, of how quickly everything could be taken away. He knew this life had an expiration date. The question was not if, but when. He was acutely aware that every day he stayed in the game, the closer he came to his own end. He just didn't know how close it was. The streets had a way of catching up with you, of exacting their toll when you least expected it. Bruce's time was running out, and he could feel the noose tightening around him. The streets were a trap, even for someone as shrewd as Bruce. Every corner held a new danger, every shadow a potential threat. The urban jungle was unforgiving, and survival required more than just wits. It demanded resilience and a keen sense of awareness. He saw his friends fall victim to the cycle of violence and despair. One by one, they were consumed by the streets, their dreams shattered, their futures stolen. Bruce knew he had to break free from this relentless cycle, or he would be next. He knew he needed an exit strategy. It wasn't just about escaping, it was about finding a way to thrive, to build something lasting. He spent countless nights plotting his course, determined to carve out a different path for himself. So he started small. He invested his earnings carefully, strategically. Every dollar was a step towards his goal. He knew that to succeed, he had to be meticulous, to plan every move with precision. He opened a barbershop, a place where the community could gather. a symbol of hope in a neighborhood starved for it. The barbershop became more than just a business. It was a sanctuary, a place where stories were shared and dreams were nurtured. He used his reputation, his influence, to steer young men away from the path he had walked. He knew the allure of the streets, the false promises they held, and he was determined to offer an alternative. He became a mentor, a role model, a beacon in the darkness. His words carried weight, his actions inspired change. He showed them that there was another way, a way out of the shadows. But the streets have a long memory. They don't easily forget those who try to leave. The past has a way of catching up, no matter how far you run or how high you climb. And some debts, once incurred, can never be fully repaid. Bruce knew this all too well. The weight of his past decisions hung over him, a constant reminder of the life he once led. Bruce's past was a shadow, always lurking, threatening to engulf his newfound legitimacy. No matter how much he tried to distance himself, it was always there, a silent specter. The fight at the club would prove that some demons can't be outrun. It was a stark reminder that the past has a way of resurfacing, often when you least expect it. They can only be confronted. Bruce knew that to truly move forward, he had to face his past head-on, to confront the demons that haunted him, and to find a way to make peace with them. The air crackled with tension that night. The club pulsed with music, sweat, and unspoken threat. It was the kind of place where deals went down and scores were settled. And tonight, fate had dealt a dangerous hand, Suge Knight. A name synonymous with power, intimidation, and the dark side of the music industry. He was a force to be reckoned with, a man who commanded respect and instilled fear in equal measure. That night their paths collided. Words were exchanged, fueled by alcohol and past grievances. The details remain murky, lost in the haze of that night. But one thing is certain: Bruce, never one to back down from a challenge, stood his ground. What started as a war of words escalated into a physical confrontation. Section 5. The aftermath: whispers, threats, and growing fear. The fight was brutal, a clash of titans. Witnesses spoke of the raw power of both men, the air thick with the thud of fists against flesh. In the end, Bruce, with his street-fighting instincts, gained the upper hand. Suge Knight, bloodied and humiliated, was left to retreat. Victory, however, felt like a Pyrrhic one. Whispers followed Bruce, whispers of retaliation, of a score left unsettled. Threats were made, veiled and overt. The streets, once his proving ground, now felt like a hunting ground. Fear, a sensation Bruce rarely acknowledged, began to gnaw at him. He knew the rules of the game. He knew that challenging someone like Suge Knight carried a heavy price. He had won the battle, but the war was far from over. Section 6. 2 weeks, a ticking clock in the shadow of death. The next 14 days were a blur of paranoia and uneasy alliances. Bruce, always the protector, now found himself looking over his shoulder, his every move scrutinized. He beefed up security at his businesses. His home transformed into a fortress. Sleep offered little respite, his dreams haunted by faceless threats and the cold, calculating stare of his enemy. He withdrew from his loved ones, pushing them away, trying to shield them from the storm he knew was coming. The weight of the situation pressed down on him, the air thick with unspoken dread. Every passing day felt like a victory, yet every sunrise brought a renewed sense of foreboding. The clock was ticking, and Bruce knew it. Section 7. The incident, a life cut short, a mystery unsolved. The call came on a Tuesday. A frantic voice on the other end of the line, barely coherent. Gunshots, Bruce, dead. The words hit like a physical blow, each syllable a nail hammered into the coffin of hope. Details were scarce, shrouded in the chaos that always seemed to follow violence. It happened quickly, they said. A drive-by shooting, a spray of bullets, the roar of an engine, then silence. Bruce never stood a chance. His death sent shockwaves through South Central. The man who had seemed invincible, who had clawed his way out of the darkness, was gone. Snatched away in a hail of gunfire, his future, his dreams, extinguished in an instant. The police investigation was swift, but ultimately fruitless. Witnesses, hesitant to talk, offered conflicting accounts. Leads ran cold. The streets, usually abuzz with gossip, remained eerily silent. Fear had sealed their lips. No arrests were made. The official story, a random act of violence, rang hollow. Everyone knew the truth, even if they wouldn't say it out loud. Bruce's death was no accident. It was a calculated execution, a message sent and received. The lack of justice only deepened the mystery. The question of who ordered the hit on Bruce Richardson hung heavy in the air, a grim reminder of the price of defiance in a world where power and retribution reigned supreme. In the aftermath of Bruce's death, A palpable sense of unease settled over South Central. The streets, once familiar, now felt different, tainted by his absence. His name, once whispered with admiration, was now spoken in hushed tones, a cautionary tale. Some whispered of revenge, of a debt that would be repaid in blood. Others spoke of Bruce's spirit, restless and seeking justice. The line between reality and myth blurred, fueled by grief and the enduring mystery surrounding his death. Bruce's legacy became a complex tapestry, woven from admiration, fear, and unanswered questions. He was a symbol of hope and a victim of the very streets he had tried to escape. His story, a stark reminder that even in death, some battles never truly end. Years have passed since that fateful night, but the mystery surrounding Bruce Richardson's death lingers. The official narrative, a random act of violence, remains unconvincing, a flimsy veil obscuring a deeper truth. Was it a calculated hit, ordered by those seeking revenge for his altercation with Suge Knight? Or was Bruce caught in the crossfire of a different battle, a victim of the very streets he had tried to leave behind? The truth, like so many secrets buried beneath the concrete and neon of South Central, remains elusive. The unanswered questions continue to haunt those who knew him, a constant reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of the streets. Beyond the headlines and the whispers, beyond the violence and the mystery, lies the story of Bruce Richardson, the man. He was a complex figure, a fighter, a hustler, a dreamer who dared to reach for a better life. He was a product of his environment, shaped by the streets that both hardened and inspired him. He was a protector, a mentor, a beacon of hope in a community ravaged by poverty and despair. Bruce's story is a reminder that even in the darkest of places, hope can flourish. It's a story of resilience, of the struggle to overcome adversity, and the enduring power of the human spirit. And while the mystery of his death may never be fully solved, his legacy of strength, determination, and unwavering loyalty continues to inspire those who remember him.